This is the Paycheck to Daycheck Reselling Podcast.
I'm Liz.
And I'm Ashley.
Together, we have been making money online collectively for over 10 years.
Our mission is to help you start, learn, and grow a reselling business and to inspire you to turn your paycheck into a daycheck.
The world is changing, and we want to help you change with it. All right, everyone. Welcome to episode 1 of the Paycheck to Daycheck Reselling Podcast. We wanted to introduce ourselves and let you know who we are. And then we'll go into a little bit of what the Paycheck to Daycheck means to us, why we started this podcast, and a little bit other info about it. So I will let Ashley introduce herself.
Awesome. So I'm Ashley. I'm 36 years old and live in New York, up in the Adirondacks with my boyfriend, Brian. I've been reselling since about 2018. I started because I had purchased a couple of Lilly Pulitzer dresses on like final sale that I couldn't return and I didn't end up needing. So I was stuck with them, and I'm not really a big dress wearer. But I did need the money. So I decided to put them up on Poshmark and see what happens. So they sold pretty quickly for actually more than I bought them for, which was really nice. And then I was instantly hooked. It was kind of a tough time for me. I was working in the car business at that time. You know, some months I really wasn't able to make ends meet, and it was just like a struggle month to month. So once I sold those dresses, I was like, wow, I need to really find some more stuff to sell. Coincidentally, my mom and dad had been antique sellers for many years while, you know, my sister and I were growing up, and it had just never really clicked to me that I could sell other things, because at that time I wasn't really that interested in antiques, but that has since changed. But anyways, yeah, so I never really thought about it before. And then once I sold those dresses, it just kind of clicked that I could find things and resell them and make some extra money to help make ends meet at that point.
I'm Liz, the other person of the podcast, and I come from a completely different reselling background than Ashley. I was a preschool teacher for 10 years. I live here in Apache Junction, Arizona. My husband, Casey, ended up finding a catastrophe auto damage adjusting job where he traveled about 3 weeks out of the month. He would travel, and we just got to the point where he was gone so much it didn't make sense anymore. He still wanted to work that job, so we needed to find something for me to do. When he would travel to jobs, he would drive from Phoenix to wherever they would send him. He would listen to YouTube videos in the car as he was driving. He found Reezy Resells, and he discovered that you could actually make money selling books on Amazon. So he would send me all the videos. I checked him out. I thought, wow, how could this be possible? I thought Amazon was Amazon. You mean that people like us can go and find books and ship them in and make money? So that kind of started our interest in reselling. And I would travel with him at first and do everything out of a hotel room. I would go to Goodwill or different bookstores and scan books, and ended up finding that I could replace my teaching salary. So I left the teaching world. We then decided that we would do full-time reselling on the road for me, and we sold everything in Tempe, Arizona in 2018. We bought a RV and we traveled the country for a year and a half, and I resold out of the RV. I would ship in books into Amazon. We also got into private label. That's a different way to sell on Amazon. And really it started off like that, and it has snowballed into something even bigger. So now we are back in Arizona. We both resell. Casey left his W-2 corporate job. We go to Goodwills and we resell on eBay. We still do private label, but we're both doing it full time.
So what does Paycheck to Daycheck mean to you? Like, we decided on this name. It fit both of what we had in mind for what we want to do for the podcast, but what does it mean to you?
When I was RVing and traveling with Casey, we were just chasing that W-2 job of his, and it was that consistent paycheck every 2 weeks. And, he came up with the idea, what if we could turn the paycheck into a daycheck? And it wasn't until we started reselling that we discovered when you're reselling, you make money every day if you want to. And it's just the work that you put in is the money that you get out of it. I think that really meant something to us. I mean, I'm 40. My parents were very big on you work in a job where you work up the ladder and you are pretty much a slave to corporate America. Nowadays, there's so many different ways to make money out there that I really don't think you absolutely have to live paycheck to paycheck anymore. You can make money other ways. And, I hope that listeners will learn that, we have to kind of retrain our mindset, not depending on an employer for a paycheck every 2 weeks, to thinking of other ways that you can make money.
Yeah, absolutely. When you have a 9 to 5, like the security of that is really nice, but you're also at the mercy of your hourly wage, or, if you're commission, you can work a certain amount, but there's only so many hours in a day that you can work if you're in a commission-based job as well. And, when you're an employee for a company, like it or not, I think we all learned in 2020 that most people are replaceable. Everyone really is replaceable within those companies. That I think was really eye-opening for people, that you need more than just that W-2 job to feel secure these days, I feel like. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that's why we decided to start this podcast, and hopefully we'll inspire and influence other people to think of different ways to make money outside of their normal paycheck job. All right, so I'm sure people are wondering how on earth we met, since I am in Arizona and you are in New York. So how did we even meet? I mean, we obviously met on the internet, but you want to share kind of how we found each other?
Yeah. So we were both in a Discord reselling group together. Part of that group was finding an accountability partner that could help you, push you every day. And Liz, or I think I posted in that section first, looking for someone, just a little bit about myself. And then Liz kind of found me, luckily, took me under her wing and helped me with, starting Amazon and really understanding eBay, answering my endless questions. And we just realized that we had a lot of similar mentalities about different things and thought processes, and had a lot of, we have different goals, but similar goals as well. So we just kind of meshed really well together. We stayed in touch and we talk all the time.
Yeah. I think it's amazing. That's the great thing about the internet, is you can connect with people from far away. And that's another goal, I think, of our podcast, is that we'll help build another reselling community and be able to reach out and meet some of the listeners and learn from them, and they can learn from us.
Absolutely. There's so much information out there, good information, bad information. With your teaching background and the knowledge that we both have on different areas and the same areas, I think that we will provide a great asset. We'll be a great asset to this community to be able to answer questions for new resellers, existing resellers, and also bring some more integrity to the community as well. There's a lot of things out there these days where just scrolling through social media, you're not sure if you can trust, what you're seeing sometimes. And that's one of the things that, you can expect from us, is we'll never tell you guys something that we've never tried ourselves, or a product that we haven't used ourselves. We're never going to push
We're going to keep it real, very real, and be honest. And I think that's so important. I mean, we're not here to make money off of it. We're here to do it to form a community and to build something.
Exactly. There's so much information out there when I first started that you just automatically think you can trust everything that you hear and see. And we want to make sure that the information that we're putting out is helpful and useful to new resellers that might be thinking about, starting that journey, or existing resellers that might have a question and they're not sure where to go to get that information. If we don't know something, we'll tell you we don't know it. We're not going to lie.
Right. We're not going to pull it out of our behind or something like that. Yeah, we'll be honest. We'll keep it real. I mean, I think in our podcast, what we decided would be really beneficial would be podcast episode. We're going to share a tool or software or something that we use that will help others. There's so much information overload, so we can just kind of gradually introduce new things to people who are starting to resell or have been reselling. That'd be great. Also want to do guest interviews, have other resellers on the podcast. Definitely. And then also we're going to do answer a lot of questions that people have. A lot of people are sometimes a little shy to ask questions, but if you reach out to us on Instagram, which our Instagram handle is P2DPODCAST _. which we'll have in the link down below. So you can find us on all the different social media platforms. But we would love and encourage some of you listeners to ask us questions, and we'd be happy to share those in the podcast episodes as well.
So you guys can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast. We'll also be uploading the podcast to YouTube, so you can check us out there if you want to see what we look like for whatever reason. I, always kind of look up my favorite podcasters to see what they look like, because I have this idea in my head to match their voice.
Right.
And wrong, usually 99% of the time. But so you can find us there.
Awesome. All right. So we want to thank everyone who tuned in and listened to our very first episode of Paycheck to Daycheck Reselling Podcast. And make sure that you stay tuned and check out the next episode. We are going to cover, can you make money reselling?
Okay.
So thanks for listening. I'm Liz.
And I'm Ashley.
And this is the Paycheck to Daycheck Reselling Podcast.
All right, guys, that's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you so much for listening to the Paycheck to Daycheck Reselling Podcast.
Anything we mentioned in this episode will be linked down below in the show notes or description down below.
Be sure to share this episode with anyone you think it will help, and follow us on social media at P2DPODCAST.
Thanks again for listening. Keep working towards that day check.